Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This is from Darren Oliver. District 9 has always been a mystery to me. How did a movie that was so profitable and got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards not get a sequel? So I just saw that the director is now saying they're working on the sequel now and that we should expect a major announcement soon. So does this mean we're finally getting District 10? Thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, District 9 was this movie that just came out of nowhere. Good Canadian kid Neil Blomkamp went to film school in Canada and all this kind of stuff, and he had made a short film on District 9. And it caught the attention of some people, including Peter Jackson. And they decided they were going to make this movie, District 9. That they made this visual effects CGI, way ahead of its time film. They made it for $30 million, this movie. The movie went on to make about 7 times its production budget and got nominated, by the way, for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And there was never a sequel, despite the fact that Sharlto Copley at the end of the film was clearly set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
The ending of that film was just screaming, come back next year, guys, for District 10. And yet nothing ever happened. Then, things started to go a little bit south because we got Elysium, which a lot of people were very excited about from Neil Blomkamp, right? It was not very good.
No.
I mean, all film is subjective. I'm sure it has its fans. And if you're one of them, awesome. But despite the fact that I was super excited for that movie, the cast, you had Jodie Foster in there, you had Matt Damon in there. I mean, it was a fantastic cast. You had Copley back in it. Wasn't very good. Then he did Chappie, which I really thought was quite bad. And so the question started to become, can he make films that aren't like his own sandbox kind of stuff? I mean, I just don't know. Then he was supposed to do an Aliens.
Yeah.
And then that got pulled. A lot of people said that it was Ridley Scott that ultimately pulled the plug on that. I mean, whether that's true or not, I'm not really sure. But there's always been this one big thing hanging there. Where is District 10? And he said for a number of years, I'm working on it. We're going to do this. Obviously not greenlit anywhere. But now finally, he's saying we're going to get news real soon. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who wrote the following. It now seems that the film might not be too far off, as Blomkamp reveals in an interview with Dexerto while discussing his work on Gunzilla Games' new Battle Royale multiplayer shooter Off the Grid. Blomkamp gives a small District 10 movie update, confirming he is still working on it. He also outlines that it shouldn't be too long until further information releases. Finding the quote below, and this is what Neil said, he said, I am still working on it, District 10. The answer is it's within the near future. It's within the near future. All right. I really want to see another District 9 movie. Like just the creativity, the way that they were able to make it real. Aliens landed on Earth. And yet they made it feel like real world problems were happening. And of course the entire movie is one big analogy for real world racism and issues and stuff like that, particularly growing up in like South Africa would have shown them, right? So
immigration.
Yeah, like all these types of issues. It's a big analogy for all of it. And it just felt so grounded and it felt so like it had its finger on the pulse of what was actually happening in culture and society, done with this fantastical sci-fi context. It was just brilliantly done and it felt fantastic. They should have rushed this thing into production almost immediately. And I wonder if it's too late. Now, to be fair, I also wondered the same thing about Top Gun. And here we are. But still, I do have to wonder, has the time for a potential District 10 come and gone? I'm going to say I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I know I would still be very excited to see it. I don't know if there's a ton of people that would be excited to see it. That's the only problem. I just don't know at this point. But if they decide to do it, sign me up. Look, it needs to be noted here that while he's saying he's working on it, there are 500 coffee shops across LA right now with 200 screenwriters in each of them working on something right now that's never going to get made. So this is not saying that a District 10 is ever actually going to happen. I don't know if at this point, if a studio would greenlight it. I really don't. I hope they would, but we'll have to see. Rob, let me ask a couple questions here. Number one, what were your general thoughts about District 9? Number two, Do you think there is an audience for District 10 today, and would it be something you'd want to see?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think it's called Alive in Joburg, which is the first short film that Blumkamp made that became District 9. I remember seeing that. That was like one of the first earliest things I ever watched on the internet. You know, when it got, like, maybe on YouTube, I saw it.
The effects were so good.
So good. And you know, I'm always looking for verisimilitude. All of District 9, just the idea of the ship, we'd seen ships float in space in like V and Independence Day.
Yeah.
But there was something about, you know, I love the idea that if aliens came to Earth and their ship was disabled, it just happened to land on top of Johannesburg. Like, it didn't come to New York or Paris or Washington, D.C., where it entered the Earth's atmosphere. They just settled there. That's where they had to be. And it really, like all great science fiction, dealing with the idea of how does our population deal with an alien population, and how do you integrate? You know, there's the other movie that came out that Gail Ann produced, not Enemy Mine, but you know, the one with James Caan, Mandy Patinkin, the cop movie that they made the TV series of.
Yeah.
Why am I drawing a blank on
Enemy Nation? No.
Alienation.
Alienation. That's what it is.
Alienation. Great title. But Alienation kind of dealt with the same things. The TV show was really good. I thought that it was a really clever, I love allegorical science fiction, and I thought it was really clever. But now, you know, with the immigration problems we've had on our southern border, and the how it became a really divisive political issue in this country, well, what would happen? Like, I would love to see, like, what would happen? You could always, and now we've got refugees that traveled through all of Europe because of various conflicts. So the idea of immigration and integrating new populations into countries is more relevant than ever. And I think that doing a District 10 and dealing with our real world problems in the context of a science fiction action adventure movie, it could be really good. And I think that with the kind of effects, because it's not just about whether the effects are good, it's how you present them.
Yeah.
And the effects in this movie were so well designed. I mean, man, when he's transforming, even there's body horror in this movie, and I loved it. And I would love to see them tackle another version of this movie, because there's so much more to say.
And nobody would expect that he could do it today for $30 million.
No.
But do it for 70.
Yeah.
If he could do something like this for $70 million, whereas other studios and other filmmakers minimum I need is $215 million to do it. I mean, that would be a bit of a coup.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, what do you think?
I want this movie made so much. I was still in college when this movie came out. I have wasted a whole college degree in education since then. What are you doing? What are you doing? Give me this movie. It's amazing, and it's grounded, and it's Kafka-esque, and I want it now.
But do you think a lot of people do, and do you think a studio would feel like they could get an audience, and do you think a studio could actually greenlight this?
I think people still talk about this movie enough that they would be interested in a sequel. I really, really do. And I think, like, it was nominated for an Academy Award. It's such a great, great film, and I think a studio would want to get behind this, especially when it was made relatively inexpensively, right? And this was a movie that didn't just appeal to sci-fi folks too, right? It was something that anyone I talked to, they were so into this because it was an allegory for other things.
Yeah.
Or because they were a sci-fi fan. Or because they did go, oh my gosh, this reminds me of Metamorphosis. You know, it's a great, great story. And I think a lot of people would want to see a sequel.
Guys, question is for you. What did you think about District 9? Do you and your circle of friends still talk about it? What do you think about the possibility of another one getting made? He's saying he's working on it. Do you think a studio will actually finance it at this point? If so, would you run out to the theaters to go see it? I know I would. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by Ninja so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea.